Hey, party people in the world, this is Eric Roberson, and you are checking out YouKnowIGotSoul.com.
All right, so first of all, Eric Roberson, thank you very much for taking the time for this interview. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.
No problem. And, you've been doing this little mini tour with Vivian Green now. How did that come together, and how's it been going so far?
I've known Viv for, a long time now, over 15 years probably, 14, 15 years. Worked on the first album together, been very good friends. So I believe our manager first, he and I were talking, and we kind of started discussing ideas of possibly doing a tour together. And that was probably about 8 months ago, something like that. And then we said, hey, let's do it. We just put it together.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you're thinking about it like this should have happened sooner. You know what I mean? It just, it makes no sense that it took this long. At one point, early in our careers, she was my background singer. At one point in the early of her career, I was her background singer. You know what I mean? So it kind of made sense that eventually we'll get on stage. And it's been going great, man.
Yeah.
It's the third show of it, so I'm looking forward to doing more.
Cool. And I want to take it back to earlier in your career. Back in 2001 when you released your first album, you kind of, strayed away from the major labels and went the independent route.
Right.
And, what kind of made you go to, take that route, staying away from the majors? Because a lot of other artists, that was their goal, get on the major label. You went independent. Talk about that.
I think failure. So, no, a lot of it just was, I took that route, and it didn't always work for me. I got signed and dropped a few times. And for me, I really started having a lot of success as a songwriter and a producer, but I wasn't satisfied. Creatively, I had all these songs sitting around that personally I wrote that I wasn't willing to sell. And that's probably where it really started, not having fulfillment. And I worked with so many acts on major labels that never came out. There's nothing more discouraging than, some artists get signed and they're excited and they're loving the opportunity they have, and you work with them for 6 months to craft their talent and put this album together, and for whatever reason the album never comes out. I just didn't want to be that. I wanted to kind of have control over what I did, and what was heard. And that was kind of the start of it. It was something very small, and it grew to this. So, I'm very appreciative of what we have now.
Yeah. And I guess you could say maybe it's ironic that now a lot of R&B and soul artists are going the independent route these days. And, what's some advice you could offer them, an artist coming from a major and now trying to succeed on an independent label, because you've had much success on independent. So what advice could you offer to them?
Well, the funny thing was, I remember when I first started doing it, my peers were looking at me like I was crazy, but it is something where now the industry is more turning towards that. If I was to give advice to the majors who are now going independent, I would say that to just maintain their foundation. They had a great opportunity of having this jump start with these marketing dollars behind them that we started from the ground up. So they're more, dare I say, taking a step down. But what they need to realize, they're taking a step down so that they can have a strong connection with the fans.
Yeah.
It's about the relationship with independent movement in general has always been about the relationship between the artist and the fan. The songs validate the relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think through the albums, people learn that they can trust in me to support my career through what I do. But at the end of the day, it's really about me and them.
Yeah.
And I think any artist that's been under Jive or Def Jam or whatever, and they're going independent now, it's not only necessarily about having that first single or the explosion, whatever. You got to have something that somebody connects to.
Yeah.
And when that connects, we're building a relationship. So it's not just about CDs, but it's about T-shirts. It's about tours. It's about just consistency. Consistent relationship. So I think that's the main thing. Get ready to wear a lot of hats. You know what I mean, you got to wear a lot of hats anyway in the music business, but especially from an independent standpoint, you really got to wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. Okay. And, without that major label backing, do you ever worry that, you're such a talented artist, do you ever worry that there's some people who might never, even discover you because you don't have that major promotional marketing, behind you? Right. Do you worry that there's some music fans who would love your music but might never get a chance to hear it?
Well, I think that can easily happen. It can happen really, in all honesty. Come in. What do it? Demo! I got you. Just stop everyone from outside the door.
No.
to answer your question, I believe that there's someone can miss my music either direction. I'm very satisfied with my goal that I have in my spirit. My goal is to grow old doing music, and I'm very satisfied with knowing not everybody's going to like my music.
Yeah.
But I think if there's one thing that I champion, is that know that I have my own path, and like even if you don't feel this should show you that there's something out there that you probably will feel if you take a look for it. Because there are people out there who are like saying, I'm not going to wait, I'm just going to do this and do what I feel. So, you know, one thing I love is I don't put a timeline to anything though either, you know.
Yeah.
To this day, you know, we had a show yesterday, and lady there, she had bought, you know, we had 7 albums. She bought every last album. She said, I'm just now discovering it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not late. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would work the first album just like I worked the newest album, you know, where with the majors, they'll put a timeline to you know, an album. If it doesn't do this in a certain amount of time, then we go to the next one. I still work the second, first, third album like it was brand new, you know, and at the same time, there's always different markets, you know. Say we, you know, just recently we did Dallas and Houston, you know, big shows there, but we're like practically unknown in San Antonio. Yeah. So, you know, it's like there's always something to do. There's always something to build. So that's what keeps me passionate about touring and stuff like that. There's always a tour to combine that, you know, can expand our fan base and things like that. So I'm always open to it all, man. I don't look at it more like I might have somebody who would love my music I'm gonna miss. I'm still like trying to find that person.
I see.
You know
okay,
I mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
And you know, as an accomplished songwriter, you write your own music. You've written for other artists. And can you take me through your writing process? How you put a song together?
Now, you know, I'm married. I got a son. You know, we got this touring schedule. Got a staff and a company. So what's crazy is that there used to be a ritual. There used to be a you know, process, and now it's, man, any free second I get, man. Like my phone is full of lyrics. My laptop, the iPad full of lyrics. There's papers laying all around. That pad that's all bent up over there right now is full of lyrics. I mean, just wherever I can get to it, I try to be in the moment, you know, at all times. So I'm constantly listening and observing for subjects, for lessons, you know what I mean? And then any chance I get, I'm always trying to create it. And even when I don't feel like, you know, I'm in a party or something, I'm just typing some stuff down. Like, this don't even make sense what I'm typing. I go back and look at it and you know, I find something in it. So I trust in the process. Yeah. I trust that I can stop it and go change diapers and go back and pick it up and still be there. Yeah. I also trust that, you know, that when I need to be in character, I can drop everything and just be completely focused and just get out of the way of myself and just be. And I had to learn that because I was a studio rat. I lived in a studio, and then it got to the point where, you know, touring like we did, it was like, you know, by the time I got home, I'm home for 2 days. By the time you wash clothes and get some sleep, you checking in your next flight. You know what I mean? I was like, I ain't been in the studio in weeks, so I kind of had to learn how to, you know, focus and really lock in those quality moments creatively. Cool.
You know, I went through your discography of songs you've had a hand in, you know, either co-writing or writing for other artists, and I was hoping to get some background on a few of these that you put together. Sure. Some of my favorite songs, actually. And the first one I came up with was 112, Funny Feelings.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you know, that was one of the big starts for me as a songwriter. I just graduated from college. I had landed a song with somebody else already, but I was considering moving to Atlanta. I was still living in D.C. at the time, and I was working at DARP, which is Dallas Austin Studio at the time, and 112 walked in. Oh, okay. And luckily, Drell, who was one of my former manager and actually still works in staff with us, he knew them. He said, "Oh man, this is my boy Eric, you know, a songwriter," and they were gracious enough to say, let's hear something. And I ran to the car, got my guitar out, and at the time I only knew like how to play like 3 songs on the guitar, so I had to, you know, and just played it out to them, and they said, "Oh, I love the song." The song's Funny Feelings. Yeah. And it's crazy where my father played guitar and still plays, and there was literally a guitar in every room of the house, bathroom, kitchen, everywhere. And I never touched my father's guitar. It was like the rule of the house. Like, you know, not even a point where you like, don't touch my guitar. It was he played it so much that it was like you were never gonna pick it up because he had it. You know what I mean? So it was crazy that, you know, I remember dealing with some relationship, man. I came home from college and I was so frustrated. I picked my father's guitar up and just played it.
Yeah.
My father walking in just looking at me like I was crazy because he just, you know, I never did it before. But my adrenaline was so up, and I watched him for years. And that was a song. I literally wrote the song in seconds.
Yeah.
Like, as fast as I could say the words, they were coming out, and that was one of those valuable lessons. I really try to channel those moments when the song is there already. Just let it pour out of you, you know. And that was one of those songs.
Cool, very cool. Yeah, I love that song, man.
No, that's good. That's good.
The next one is Musiq Soulchild, PreviousCats.
PreviousCats, man. Good friend of mine. I went to Howard with Jermaine Mobley, amazing guitar player. Did the music. He sent me the music, and I had I was listening to it in my father's car. I was driving to another studio, and I was listening to it in the car. And I wrote the song driving. And the funny thing about music was, I played it for him. It was, you know, it was a college song. And I had it for years. It sat around. And it was one of those songs when I played it for somebody, most people wouldn't go, they'll never go, I love that song.
Yeah.
They'd be more like, yeah, I kind of dealt with that. Yeah, I kind of be doing it. It was more like an internal thing. And so I remember playing for music. He didn't have a record deal at the time. And the amazing thing was, when I played it for him, he said, I want this song for my second album. Well, okay, cool. So he gets signed, you know, Def Jam signs him, and we're working on his album, and think like, wow, this is crazy. And then I go, hey, you know, well, PreviousCats, you know, you work on the album. He's like, no, that's my second album. I'm like, okay. So he puts his first album out. First album goes crazy, and he touring the whole nine. And then out the blue, I get this phone call, and he's like, I'm about to start my second album. I'm coming. When can I come over and cut PreviousCats? And I was like, this guy is crazy, you know.
Wow.
And we recorded the song at the studio, and that was, you know, the rest was history.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It was like, I remember I ran into Russell Simmons in Jamaica. Me and Jermaine Mobley, funny enough, were there for a wedding when our friends were getting married, and we're sitting literally right next to Russell Simmons in Jamaica, and they were going to a wedding. And I told him at this point we had wrote for 112 and a few other artists that was on. I believe might even Carl Thomas. I believe at that point we might have done. And so we was no, Carl Thomas was on Bad Boy. I'm trying to think who else. Oh, Case. I'm sorry, Case was on Def Jam. So we introduced ourselves. We said, you know, we worked on a lot of your acts on your label. You know, this and that. So he said we also did Previous'Cats for Musiq Soulchild. So Kevin Lyles goes, great song, beautiful song, love it. It's not a single, but I love it. It was like the most, it was like the worst thing in my life. But hearing him say that, but it was all cool, man. And I think it was like, I personally feel like it was a big mistake that song wasn't a single. And I only mean I say that not because it would have made me a lot of money, but there's a conversation piece. You know, it's like that song really helped a lot of people. You know, and to this day, you know, he still performs at his shows, which is a great compliment to me. I feel for how important that song is.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorites on that second album. Yeah. You mentioned Carl Thomas, and you know, I was just listening to your version of the song today, which is Rebound. Tell me about that one.
Rebound was one of those sad Saturday nights. You know, I love writing songs on Saturday nights when everybody else is partying, and I'm sitting in the studio like, why am I in this room? You know, I can always get in this little funk. And I remember I was sitting. A lot of time when I finish a session, I'll go to the Fender Rolls and I'll put my hands down, and if it makes sense, I'll keep going. If it doesn't make sense, I stop and I go to bed or whatever. And it was one of those nights where I put my fingers down and it started making sense. It just started boom, 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 boom. I was like, and then the whole thing just came in. And I remember the funniest thing was my boy D Black called me, one of my good friends. He called while I was working on it. And I turned on, I put a little drum beat to it, and I'm sitting there playing, and all the songs coming. So I put the song on speakerphone. Yo, you gotta hear this song. It's crazy. What's up, yo? Listen to this song. So I go, what's the reason? Yeah. So sad. And as I'm playing it, I said, what do you think? He's like, man, that joint too sad, man. I couldn't even let him get the rest of where it hung up on immediately. And it kept working. I do it to turn the ringer off and it zoned out. I couldn't afford anybody to say, no, you know. So when I finished the song, you know, I will play it, and everybody kind of, and everybody's like, okay, cool. And nobody's really commenting. I'm just like, kind of listening, all right, cool. And then so I have a meeting with Carl Thomas like the next week, and I put all the songs I thought he would love first on the CD, like my bangers on the, he's skipping right through the CD. I think Rebound like number 7, and this comes on, so he goes boom, boom, he sits back, okay. And I'm like, he's gonna take this song. I'm like, wow. So he goes, and that was to see if it was in his key, if it worked well with his voice. So as soon as he did that, I said, he's gonna buy it. Wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. And as much as I wanted to sell the song, I also did. I was like, that's my joint, you know. And then I remember when I went back to my friends, everybody was like, see, I think Carl Thomas gonna do Rebound. Why are you selling Rebound? That's my joint. I'm like, I played it for y'all. Y'all weren't even commenting on it before. I thought y'all hated the song. So, you know, it was just one of those things, man. But Carl, you know, one thing I learned with Carl was, you know, he said, when we were about to record, he said, the song is no longer yours. And it made so much sense. And he really owned it. He really became, you know, he really became the character in the song.
Yeah.
You know, a funny story, I can say this because he's not on Bad Boy anymore. That was one of the fastest sessions I've ever done in my life.
Oh, really?
He was so professional, but the main reason why was he wanted to finish the song before Puffy got there. He's like, we gotta get out of here before P. Diddy gets here, because if he comes in, we're here all night. He's literally gonna make us work on the song all night. There was no reason to work on it all night, so he was just like, you know, oh, sit up. I got the words. I got it. You know, he went in. He like, you know, a couple of takes. He nailed it. We packed up, mixed it out. You know, we were out by like 10 o'clock at night. And, you know, but I think like 10:30, Puffy would have showed in. We would have been there since 8 o'clock the next morning or something like that. You know, so it was cool, man. It was a good song.
Cool, great story, man. Yeah. Love that. Just one more, and that's my favorite Vivian Green song. What Is Love?
Oh,
I love that song.
Immediately. A good friend of Shun, what we did Emotional Roller Coaster with. I did a lot of my songs, Change For Me, Rain on My Parade, a lot of songs. She, off the new album. He had this amazing track. I remember sitting, it was probably another Saturday night. I love writing songs on a lonely Saturday night. It's just something about those lonely Fridays and lonely Saturdays. And Viv was going through some time. I remember she was dealing with some guy, and she would come into the studio and we would talk for hours. We were just like, why isn't this working? You know, and then we would start music, and that was how it worked. So I remember Saturday, I had an idea, and I just wanted to go into the most, I don't want to say desperate moment, but like what is love? I mean, maybe I'm not supposed to know, but I don't care. If it's not love, I'm happy what it is. And, you know, if it's not working perfect, but it's still working, I'm just satisfied. You know, it's like I kind of wanted to be in that lane. I remember the next day I hadn't wrote the whole song. I just kind of left a little bit open. And I remember when I played it for her, she was listening to it. She was like, I was like, what is she doing? You know, I got no read. She said, she goes, I want to sing this song. So we sat down and we finished the song up, man, and you know, and I tell you, one of the biggest honors, one time I was at Viv's concert, long time ago, and she was doing a concert with Musiq and with Dwelle playing up. It was Howard Homecoming, and I was in the crowd, surrounded by people, and that night, I think 6 of my songs were performed.
Oh, wow.
And I remember when What Is Love was performed, and I'm sitting surrounded by women who are singing along and they're crying and it's like, you know, they're feeling it. And it was such a compliment to just be a fly on the wall and witness just like the power of a song, you know. And I always, if you notice with that song, and a lot of my songs, I try to make sure there's not a happy ending.
Yeah.
What is love doesn't end happy, you know what I mean? Still doesn't end happy. And it's not to really just, you know, to just be jumping off a bridge or nothing like that, but it's amazing how even with those songs, people can still heal. People can still find, you know, they can resolve their issue in something that they can relate to. You know what I mean? This song's about hurt. I'm hurting, so I can relate to it. So even just relating to it helps me heal. And I think that's the beautiful thing about What Is Love.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing those stories with me, man. I love the history behind the songs.
Great. I love doing that.
I love it. Who's an artist you'd like to either work with, write a song for? You know, is there someone out there you'd love to collaborate with that you haven't had a chance to?
So many. You know, I'm a big Bill Withers fan. Big Bill Withers fan.
Okay.
The fact that he's doing music again, like I'm excited that it's possible that one of my dreams could come true, because for the longest he just stopped doing music. I love Erykah Badu. I probably would just rather just be in the studio watching her than watch her create more than even collab. I just would love to just see how she comes up with these amazing songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lewis Taylor from London, one of my favorite artists, man. I would love to, you know, unfortunately they say he's retired now, but I would love to just, you know, do a little jam section with him. Man. He's amazing. But I mean, the list, there's too many to name, man. I mean, I could really start from the top. But everybody in my CD collection I haven't worked with, I would either love to write with them or love to just watch them write. You know, I would love to see Prince with a pad and a pen coming up with lyrics. Like that would be like the greatest honor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how did he come up with Raspberry Beret?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Cool. You know, with the way the music industry has evolved, and you know, commercial R&B and sort of commercial hip hop has moved to the forefront in the recent years. Do you see soul and you know, kind of real R&B making a move back to the forefront anytime soon?
I think it can, and I don't know if there's ever a timeline. You know, I think with hip hop, I remember when hip hop was frowned upon, and I also remember when we were, you know, us kids that grew up listening to hip hop. And we were working on our demos, and we wanted to put like hip hop drums on our music. And they were like, "That's not going to work. What are you doing?" And there was a big clash. You know, when we were coming into the industry, you know, and I think it can. I think it will. You know, a good melody at the end of the day always strikes a chord in people's hearts, no matter what age, you know, what genre you're into. You know, so. As much as I'm a hip hop fan and love like the art of combining words, you know, I'm also a sucker for like a vulnerable hook. You know what I mean? That one that you just every time it comes on, you gotta sing along to.
Yeah.
Or just that song that, you know, one thing about soul music that is maybe gotten away from a bit is that soul music has always been the soundtrack of the times, and hip hop is kind of taking that now. Hip hop is literally music about your community. And a lot of times now it's about how we show off in our community. You know what I mean? But it's still about our community. Whereas, you know, soul music has been, it was the soundtrack of slavery. It was the soundtrack of the civil rights movement. You know, it was a soundtrack for wars. You know what I mean? Like, even like we think back, them guys walking into war were singing something from their heart to give them courage to do what they're about to do. You know what I'm saying? Before we defined it the way Al Green did it, that was soul music. You know what I mean? You can't tell me that wasn't soul music. So, to me, I think if we kind of get back to singing about where we're at, you know, in life, I think at the same time, I think it can have another big impact like it did, say, in the 70s and late 60s. Yeah,
okay. Makes sense. And then, you know, just to wrap up, you know, what are you currently working on? I know you're always doing touring. You're out here in New York at least once a month. So, you know, is a new album in the works? You know, tell me what you're currently working on.
The album is in the works, and it's pretty much done. Okay. It's called Mr. Nice Guy. Okay. It'll be out August 23rd. Okay. And I'm quite excited about it. Right now, the biggest problem is we have too many songs, and to cut it down. You know, that's the main thing. So me and my staff and my friends are in heavy debate right now. Like, what do you mean it's not going out? What's going out? You know, so we're just trying to figure all that stuff out, and that's always a fun time. But I really enjoy making this album, and I really look forward to letting people hear it and see what, you know, see all the new stories that may come from it. And stuff like that. Just having a good time, though. But more tours and stuff like that. We don't really stop. Yeah.
Cool. Look forward to hearing the album.
Appreciate it.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, just I appreciate it. I like your polo shirt as well.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Like it. Just look out for the album. EricRobersonMusic.com. You know, you can check out everything from there.